Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Trinadapi Sunichena Torariva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyata. Here we are studying the Srimad Bhagavatam. Today's selection is from the first canto. Prabhupada entitles the first canto Creation because there are 10 subject matters in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the first subject is called Sarga, Creation. Today's section is from Chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service. We begin with the 12-syllable mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, here is the reference to the section we're going to study. In chapter 1, after the 3 introductory verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, the scene is set early in the age of Kali. The sages, headed by Shaunaka Rishi, have assembled in the holy place, Naimisharanya, which is considered to be the hub of the universe, as was designed by Lord Brahma, the creator. So the purpose of these sages arriving is they are about to do a sacrifice for 1,000 years for the benefit of the people of Kali Yuga. As Shaunaka says, that in the age of Kali, the people are very unfortunate, unlucky, very lazy when it comes to spiritual life, and their minds are always disturbed. So for the benefit of the people of Kali Yuga, they are going to do a sacrifice for 1,000 years. And they have decided that the best way to do sacrifice is to hear from Suta Goswami. And they want to hear from him Srimad Bhagavatam, or the science of God. That is what Srimad Bhagavatam is. The science of God realization. So Suta Goswami, in this second chapter, begins to answer. Now, in the first chapter, Shaunaka had asked Suta 6 specific questions. And the final question, which was the most important, where will people find shelter in the age of Kali? And in the third chapter, Suta Goswami gives the answer. In the age of Kali, people will find light and shelter through Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so in beginning to answer the 6 questions that Shonaka Rishi placed. Sutta Goswami begins here. So look at your sheets and we'll do the Sanskrit. Please repeat. Sutta Uvacha Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Please repeat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, the supramost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So, the very means of conquest. What is the conquest that they are talking about? They're talking about the conquest of the material energy, the conquest of ignorance, the conquest over atheism, gross materialism, the conquest by which one goes back home, back to Godhead. That is the conquest he's referring to. Let's go now to the next verse. Please repeat. Munaya sadhu prishtoham bhavadbir loka mangalam yat krita krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. So this verse, there's a lot here. So the first thing to note, in any kind of spiritual gathering, there's bound to be questions and answers. Bhagavad Gita, questions and answers. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam, a conversation within a conversation within so many conversations. And those conversations are based on questions and answers. But here, Sutta Goswami is saying, yes, I will entertain your questions. Why? Because they relate to Lord Krishna. So Sutta Goswami is not going to answer any mundane question. The question has to be in reference to Lord Krishna. Because why? Relevance to the world's welfare. Because the questions they asked in chapter 1, they asked about that we want to know the principles of religion that have to do with benefit for the whole human race, not just a small section. They were interested in religious principles that would benefit everyone. So that's why he's saying, yes, questions about Krishna, they're of relevance to the welfare of the whole world. Then this last line, please repeat. Yenatma suprasidati. This will appear again. We're going to see this again. Satisfaction of the self. This self, we learned this in Bhagavad Gita, did we not? In chapter 2, we learned what is the self. It's not the body, it's not the mind, it is the soul. So, questions about Krishna, They are capable of completely satisfying the soul. All right, let's go to our next verse. This verse is a very, very powerful verse. This is one of my favorite verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sabai pung sang paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhok shaje ahoit tukiya pratiyata yayatma suprasidati. So here's that line again. Yayatma suprasidati. So again it appears. This one I would like you to repeat. The supreme occupation or dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So, many things here to discuss. So, notice how Prabhupada is translating dharma. Many times, the word dharma is translated as religion. But Prabhupada rather uses the word occupation. Actually, if you wanted to get technical, dharma means that activity which sustains you. You learn about in Bhagavad Gita swadharma, your own occupation. In the Srimad Bhagavatam throughout, you will hear from different Mahajans on this topic of dharma. Bhishma Dev, on the bed of arrows, speaks to Yudhishthira about various aspects of dharma. Narada Muni, in Canto 10, also tells Yudhishthira different aspects of dharma. So throughout Bhagavatam, we will hear about this topic of dharma. Here, Prabhupada is saying, because the Sanskrit is paro dharma. So not just dharma, para dharma, the topmost, the supreme, the transcendental occupation. In other words, occupation means Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. But that's not para dharma. Para dharma has to do with the soul. And that's why in this verse, the supreme occupation, and next point, all humanity. So no one's excluded. Doesn't matter Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Jew, atheist, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter man or woman. Are you a human being? You are meant to do this paradharma, supreme occupation. And what is it? What does he say? What's the exact Sanskrit word? Bhakti. Do you see that in line 2? Bhakti. In the second line, Yato Bhaktir, right? You see that? So you learned that in Bhagavad Gita because Krishna said 3 times in Bhagavad Gita, you want to see me? Bhakti. You want to come to me? Bhakti. You want to understand me? Bhakti. He didn't say karma or yoga or jnana. We must have learned this, otherwise we got to go back. If anybody still has a doubt, then we got to stop this and go back to Bhagavad Gita, because that was one of the final things for your graduation. Nobody should have any doubts about what is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. It is bhakti, devotional service to Krishna. Now, the word arhoksaje, everybody say. So Adhoksaja, everybody say Adhoksaja. So Adhoksaja is a name for God, which means he's not understood by material mind and senses. That's not how you realize God. God reveals himself. And how does he reveal himself? Bhakti. That's how he reveals himself. Why did Krishna appear to Narada? Because although Narada was doing meditation, it was bhakti meditation, not soham. It was meditation on supersoul. That is bhakti meditation. What they do now in yoga, I don't know if it's meditation. Because nowadays you'll hear, oh, meditate on nothing. That's not meditation. Meditation is on the form of the Lord in the heart. That's bona fide meditation. So, material mind and senses, you cannot appreciate. You have to have spiritual senses, purified senses. And the purifying process is called bhakti. It's the purifying process. How do you execute bhakti? You take your senses, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. This is Narada's line. How do you execute bhakti? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, hands, legs, throat, and especially the mind. All of the senses are engaged in serving the master of the senses, known here as Adhoksaja. That is how God is realized. And here, this is Paradharma, the supreme occupation. Then, the third line. What kind of bhakti? Ahoituki apratiyata. Causeless, meaning no business with Krishna. Causeless. I'm doing this in the beginning stage out of duty because I'm supposed to do it. Later, that turns into bhav or love. But you don't have that in the beginning. In the beginning, you're executing devotional service under the order of the spiritual master. You may not feel like doing it, but you understand, nope, my spiritual master has ordered, I must do the various aspects, 64 items of devotional service, but mainly hearing and chanting. It all stems from that. So in the beginning, it's done out of duty or obligation. You take vows. At the time of initiation, you take vows. But that turns later on into bhav or love. So that's ahoituki. Now, apratihata, unbroken. We learn this in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 14 when Arjuna asks the question, how do I transcend the modes of nature? And what did Krishna say? What's the verse? What's that? Mang chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena. There's that word again. That beautiful word, bhakti. And yogena sevate. Sagunan samati yaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate means you have transcended the modes of nature. Sagunan, you've gone beyond the modes. That's the platform where Krishna is realized. That in the 4th canto, Lord Shiva tells Sati, I'm always in Krishna consciousness. Very interesting what Lord Shiva tells his wife. By the way, I'm always in Krishna consciousness. When the incident with Daksha took place, why didn't Shiva stand up? It wasn't out of disrespect for his father-in-law. It was because he was in samadhi. And what was he meditating on? Soham? No. Krishna in the heart. And that's why later, after the whole incident, cursing and counter-cursing, Shiva said, I am always in Vasudev consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Pure Krishna consciousness, Lord Shiva tells his wife. Most people don't know this about Lord Shiva. He is what? Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, the greatest devotee. Why? He tells you right there. I'm always thinking of Krishna. What does Krishna say at the end of chapter 9 and 18? Manmana bhava, Krishna's commandment. Think of me. And Lord Shiva executes that perfectly. That's why he has his own sampradaya. That's what makes him bona fide. Because he's one of the Mahajans, first of all. He's one of the Mahajans. He has his own sampradaya. And if you follow Lord Shiva's sampradaya, you should become, like him, a pure devotee of Krishna. Very simple. The guru is a devotee. The disciple follows the guru. He becomes a pure devotee. Then he takes on disciples. If they follow, then they should also become pure devotee. Very simple. So, apratiya, unbroken devotional service. That is not so easy, unbroken devotional. Why? Because Maya is very strong and we get distracted. We get diverted away from devotional service. I was speaking about this the other day in ISKCON New Dwarka. That it's not so easy to stay constantly from moment to moment in bhakti, in devotion. You got to. It's hard work. It's not easy. You've got so much Maya you're dealing with, and she's all powerful. And that's why I said in the class, you had better respect Durga Mata because she is all powerful. And we learned from Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, only one way to conquer over. Surrender. And how do you surrender? Bhakti. It all comes together. We spent so many years here studying Bhagavad Gita. We should be able now to sync it up. So again, yes, that's right. That's right. Yayatma suprasidati, completely satisfied in the self. Completely satisfied. All right, let's go to the next verse. Oh, now that this section is so filled with excellent, excellent verses. Please repeat. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayat Yashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahoitukam. So, look at the nice words. Vasudeve. Who does that refer to? Okay, Bhagavati means Bhagavan. All right? Well, look what comes next. Bhakti Yoga. So this Bhakti Yoga now has come up. Okay? Then these two words, Vairagyam and Jnanam. Two sides of a coin. Knowledge. What kind of knowledge? Knowledge which has as its undercoating detachment from sense gratification, material life. Not jnana meaning I have so much material. That's not the knowledge being spoken here. It's knowledge that teaches you how to become detached. Because Why do I say that? Because Ishopanishad says that materialistic knowledge is actually avidya, ignorance. This is a heavy concept. Materialistic knowledge, according to Ishopanishad, is avidya, ignorance. Knowledge means this, vairagya, detachment. That's the knowledge which you get from Bhagavad Gita, from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes. All right, please repeat. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So even though in the Sanskrit it was Vasudeva, Prabhupada many times just interchanges, because even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is referred to as Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, right? So, Krishna and because what does Vasudeva mean? It has two meanings. Vasudeva means the son of Vasudeva. So Vasudeva could refer to Balaram. You wouldn't be wrong. He's also the son of Vasudeva. Yes, am I right? So sometimes he's referred, but normally when we see that word Vasudeva, we think of Krishna. Another meaning of Vasudeva, somebody who is all-pervasive and conscious of his all-pervasiveness. Super soul is in everyone's heart. And how many, we had this question before. I'll ask Rohan. How many hands does Super Soul have? Shh. How many? Is Super Soul two-handed, four-handed, 100-handed? How many hands? You're not sure? Mukund. Thank you. You remember a couple of months ago we had this discussion and most of you didn't know, and I was like, what? Come on. Four-handed. If you're not sure, there are several chapters in Bhagavatam. Lord Shiva in his Shiva Gita gives a complete description of Super Soul. In Canto 2, Shukadeva Goswami gives a complete description of Krishna in the heart, four-handed, with the different symbols, conch, lotus, club, disc, right there in the heart, measuring 8 inches or the span of the hand. There's different descriptions. So yes, what? Okay. But the question comes up, what about the ant? So Prabhupada said proportionate to the body. Say an ant's hand is so proportionate. All right. So please repeat. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Please repeat. One immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So if this knowledge is causeless, where does the knowledge come from? Yes. Didn't we learn that in Bhagavad Gita? What verse am I thinking? What verse am I thinking? You've learned your Bhagavad Gita. Yes. Savasya Chahamradi Sani Vishta Matak Smatir. What is Smatir? Remembrance. Jnanam. Oh, didn't that word appear here? Yeah. Jnanam Chayadahoitakam. So Krishna says, knowledge comes from me. So this is revolutionary because you may be materially ignorant. Like, they give the example, Bhakti Siddhanta's spiritual master was illiterate. He didn't even know how to write his own hand. write his own name. But he knew everything about devotional service. When Nrisimhadev placed his hand on 5-year-old Prahlad, all of a sudden Prahlad expounded such beautiful prayers. Dhruva too. When Prishnigarbha appeared to Dhruva, Dhruva at first didn't know what to say, so but then, again, the Lord put his conch shell. Dhruva stood up and he offered beautiful prayers. So the knowledge comes from Krishna. So here, Suta Goswami is saying that if you render devotional service will give you knowledge, and like I said, what kind of knowledge? Detachment from enjoying this material world. That doesn't mean, because I see Kamlesh looking at me, that doesn't mean that I think, oh, that means I don't have to read the books. Now, that's not what I'm saying. But one has to understand the principle. Okay? First, understand the principle. This verse is not saying, no, don't bother with the books. That's not what this verse is saying. Got me now? But this is a scientific, transcendental fact. If you render devotional service, Krishna in your heart will give you knowledge and detachment. That's why we do devotional service. But the spiritual master tells you, read the books. My favorite story. The BBT came out with a new volume of Bhagavatam. They rushed it upstairs to Prabhupada. Look,